Alrighty. Well, welcome to the third session of the day here. Today's going to be the one and only Oklahoma Transporter Waste Disposal Combo License Roadshow this week. So I appreciate everyone joining here in person, and then I appreciate everyone joining online here. My name is Brent Doherty. I am a key program manager with Metrc. My job is to work with the OMMA to institute the Metrc tracking system and then maintain it to meet the standards that they need to regulate effectively. We also have some folks from OMMA here up the top left up there. Waving over us, and they're here to listen in on any questions that might be touching regulations. So this entire presentation is really centered around the Metrc functionality, not necessarily the regulations or anything along those lines. So if you do ask any of those questions, we will make note of it, and then we'll take note, and then we'll look to get some additional information out to everyone following this week's sessions. We'll also be doing the same on our end as far as Metrc goes, and we'll be looking to put out additional documentation from our side as well. And then along with that, we will also be recording all these sessions, and we'll be putting out one of each to the public after we complete the sessions. So without further ado, so the agenda, we kind of went just through that, the introduction there. But we'll also be introducing everyone to Metrc as a company. So who we are, kind of our background. And then we'll also kind of talk about Metrc the system. So Metrc company, and then there's Metrc the system, and we'll talk about what Metrc is, how it works, and then we're going to dive into some of the functionality in a testing environment. Kind of show you how to set up your license, how you're going to get credentialed, how to order tags, which for purposes of your purposes probably won't be much tags need to be ordered because you're going to do mostly transporting packages. Just kind of knowing generally about packages, and really what we're going to be mainly focused on today, these last 2 points here, transfers and waste disposal. We will be doing, and then we'll finish with integration with other software, and then training and support. All right, so who is Metrc? So Metrc started as a company called Franwell back in 1993, doing RFID tracking and supply chain tracking in computer technologies, and then they switched, added in barcoding and RFID for auto identification technology over 15 years ago. We have a lot of experience with those 3 areas, which is where kind of Metrc came from. In-house, we have our low and high level software design and engineering, digital hardware design and engineering, solution architecture, and help and support. So really is just kind of we do all those things in-house. We don't outsource any of that work. So like I said, we started, so with Metrc, we started doing seed to sale tracking here in Colorado in 2013. Since then, we've expanded to 20 different jurisdictions that we're in the process of either implementing or have implemented. These numbers are probably already outdated, but these are kind of just some high-level numbers of just to give you an idea of the scale at which we've done this before, just to give you an understanding of our experience with the industry. I also want to flag that we do have an uptime of better than 99.9%, so that is very little time going down. Again, we also have scheduled maintenance. If we do have scheduled maintenance, it'll be announced over the website, so you'll have advance notice there. So what is Metrc? So that was who we are as a company. Now we're going to talk about the system itself. So Metrc is a compliance management solution used by regulated bodies to track oversight of the marijuana industry. So basically what that means is that it's a reporting tool that you can use, that you use to report in what you're doing to the state. The state can use it as a way to flag different risk levels, as well as effectively legislate based on the numbers they're seeing. Metrc is a cloud-based online software. So, the key thing here is it's cloud-based, cloud-hosted. So you don't need any hardware to do this, to work with Metrc. All you need is a computer and an internet connection. All right, so there's a few different applications here. For the most part, I think that this is really more geared towards some of the other license types, but just to kind of explain it. You do have a regulatory tracking, which is what we are. So you're tracking just the cannabis product, moving from with compliance in mind for public safety. Materials resource, that's and maybe in transport case, that's your gas, some of the other things that you would be spending money on and tracking that for your internal purposes. We don't do that. In the enterprise resources, that would be, kind of all your finance and all of those areas. We do not track that either. So those are MRP and ERP systems. We're a regulatory system. What makes up Metrc? So we've got users and browsers. So users/browsers, we have the industry and regulatory side. So you're going to be working on the industry side that goes into the web UI. We also have the ability to use an external system, which is the API, our applications programming interface. Regardless of how it gets in there, that all gets built into the database, which is where the reporting comes from for the state regulators. How is Metrc built? So if you like to think of the medical marijuana market here in Oklahoma as an office building, it's its own standalone building. So we don't share the dedicated hardware in our server spaces with any other states. So your data there's no chance for your data to overlap with anyone else's data or that to be getting into any other states. So you think of it as an office building. The office building is owned by the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority, or OMMA. They own it, so they will give you out your keys, which are your licenses, and they can go wherever they want. They can look and make sure things are looking correctly there as a, kind of your landlord, if you will, within the office space. And then Metrc is really the maintenance and facilities crew. So we make sure that the hallways are swept. We make sure that the water stays on, lights stay on, those kinds of things. So we really are just there to help support the industry and make sure that everything is working properly as far as the regulatory side goes. Okay, so now I get into how the system works, right? So you got two different sides here. You've got the regulatory side, which is where OMMA will be living, and you have the industry side, which is where you will be living. The side on the left is really just to show you that all of this data is really, for the most part, coming out of Metrc. They're not putting anything in there outside of the licensing, which is from Dentia goes into our system. That's really just to get the license information there. So information about agents that are transporters, which you are licensed agents, or licensed users, and then anything about the business licenses themselves. As far as the industry goes, everything starts with the immature plants, then it moves to vegetative, where it gets tagged with a Metrc plant tag, and then it gets moved over to flowering. The plant tag stays with it. That gets harvested, gets put into a batch of harvest, and then it gets packaged from there. And then where those packages come into your inventory, they have a package tag on them. And then when you transfer it, that package tag goes with them. So when you're transferring it to another facility, that other facility does not have to re-tag it once it gets there. That's really important for any of the waste disposal facilities as well, because you're just going to be basically taking in these packages, and then you will be zeroing them out and finishing them. So if you look here, so basically that's at a high level how the system is organized. All right, so if you haven't already done so, and everyone that's in person here should have already have credentials, but if you are online here and have not gotten credentialed yet, I really would encourage you to go to metrc.com/Oklahoma and sign up for one of the trainings for new business trainings. They're offered once a day, and you can take that, sign up for that right now if you go in there. So go into, and then once you take that training, so again, the person needs to take the training is the owner or the key admin. And they will take the training, and then as soon as they're completed that, they can reach out to Metrc support, and Metrc support will outline to them what information they need. It's also included in the next steps document that's been posted as well. But once they confirm that your license is active and that you've taken the training and you are the person that needs to have taken the training, you will get your Metrc credential, your welcome email, as we call it. And you'll see that in the top right there. There'll be a link in that email which you can use to set up your profile, which is what you see in the bottom photo here. And when you do that, you'll create your password, your security question, those kinds of things. One thing to note on the welcome email is that the link's only good for 24 hours. So if you do get that email and you don't use that link, don't worry, all you have to do is reach out to support. They will kick you a new credential email. All right, once you get your administrative credentials, you have to add in all your facilities. So again, if you have multiple facilities underneath you, you do not need a separate login for each facility. You simply will just need to add the facilities under one login. So we'll kind of show you what that looks like, or where you can find that area. And then after you add each facility, you would add your employees, your strains, your items, and your location. So for these purposes, we're really going to be focused on the employees and really just the locations, and that'll be really along the lines of the waste disposal facilities, as you won't be necessarily needing to create items and things like that. All right, so again, product profile, so just kind of an idea of what these items look like. You have the categories, and then those categorize, obviously, the items. So they're all based on what the requirements are from OMMA's perspective as far as what information gets recorded there. We're going to be really focused on the waste items today. And then, so that's just kind of a little bit back on there. So we're getting into the admin piece here, which, like I said, the items, you can add items in there, but probably won't be very necessary because, again, we'll show you how you can use the same item functionality. So if you did need to repackage for some reason, you wouldn't need to create an item for it. So we won't spend too much time adding items into these licenses in this one. These are all the categories that could be possible that are available. And you'll notice here the big one here is MMJ waste here. All right, locations. So locations will be at minimum the rooms that you're storing packages in. So again, as a transporter, you're not going to be storing product in your license. But if you are a waste disposal facility, you will need to add locations to make sure that you are tracking where those packages are prior to you disposing of them. All right, so let's go to the, so you notice here in the top right here. So if you are adding multiple licenses underneath you, you'd hit that little top right button. This is where you can change your password, but also too, there will be another item here. This is not an admin account, unfortunately, so I can't show you it, but these should be under the API keys and add facilities option. You'd go in there, and then you would use the OMMA provided license number, enter that in, and then it'll add into your account, similar to what we just saw there, where we just switched between licenses under one user account. So that's a list of all the licenses associated to this user. So we're in a transporter here. So now we'll go over to the admin piece. Go to admin. We'll go to our employees. We'll add in our employees first. All right, so if you have a transporter license, individual transporter license, you would be what we consider a licensed user. So you have a license number provided by the state that is associated to your name. So you'd have the licensed user, you'd have the employee license number, you enter that in, you have to put your email in there. That should match what is in the OMMA records. And then at a home, and then basically the system will know based on your license number where your name is. So you won't have to enter any of that information in. So you'd select a home. I would recommend doing like a packages or transfer menu. The one thing to just make sure you're aware of is if you are adding employees, if they aren't getting full permissions, make sure you're not giving them a home that they wouldn't be able to access with their permissions, because it will cause some issues. Okay, that's a question I'll have to take back. So there's a question on the transporter license number. So your license number is different for each? Gotcha, okay. I'll have to take them on back. So I appreciate that flag. Yeah, so you'd have to add the employee license number there. And then on the right-hand side here, you can see you can add in different, you can add in across multiple licenses or multiple facilities. Quickly, you can check all, check none, select different ones. Then you can also give the permissions here in the middle. The one we're mainly going to focus in today is the transfer hub. That's for transporter licenses. Specifically, when transport business license right now, just so we're aware here. It's a little different than the transport agent, but the hub's right there. So that will be how you track everything if you are a transporter business. So you have that, make sure that hub's on. And then the other piece here with the admin menu, those are a little bit more things that you want to keep a little bit closer, especially the employees. You don't want a disgruntled employee who you let go that has access there, going in and removing everyone else from the account, where to the point where no one can do anything. That'll cause some serious business impacts, and you don't want that. That's about it for the licensed employees. All right, then we'll go up to, so there's the ability to lock. You can edit employees, obviously, but you can also lock and unlock there. And if you look here, you'll see that this person's locked. If you want, you can unlock them or lock them, but don't unlock them. And then if you want to disable them, you can hit the disable button. That will disable them in that particular facility. If you use the all button, that will disable them in all the facilities. Okay, so that should do it for employees. Again, we will go through locations here. And then we'll touch on strains and items very briefly, but then we'll go to transporters. So we're going to go locations first. So again, locations are really just basically a room that you can add. So if you wanted to have a transfer, so a transfer room where you're bringing in new product, and then maybe there's a destruction room as well that you want to record that you moved it there before you destroyed it. So you could add in, if you see this little plus button here, just a little chip, you can always add multiple at one time. So you select the location type as default and just put destruction room perhaps. All right, so we're going to create that location. Again, transporters, if you're a transporter business license, you're generally you're not going to have be storing any products, so you really don't need as much locations. But if you are a waste disposal facility, it would be very helpful to have that because you would want to know where the waste packages are within your facility. So once you get through locations, next you would look at, we can touch on strains and items, and then we'll go to transport. So strains, strains are really the basis of it. You add strains, and then those can go into items. We'll flip over to items. So again, once again, your transporter, you're not going to have much need for this. But if you're a waste disposal facility, maybe there's a chance you would need to, if you did receive a package that wasn't categorized as waste, maybe you'd need to repackage it or something like that. So you may want to add something like, if you can add an item, it would just be a waste item. Potentially, plant waste or something like that. Category is going to be MMJ waste. All right, so this is a transporter, so that's probably that's why that's not available, because you don't really need to make any items as a transporter. So that's it. So then we'll go flip over to transporters. So you see that under the admin menu as well. This is going to be, again, really more for when you're creating transfers, so you're not really going to need to, but if you are working with any licenses, if you're a transport agent, make sure they add you to as drivers in vehicles, so that it's much easier for them to just flag you in, put you in. So again, you'll have your driver's license, your employee ID, which will be your ID number, which is your given license number. And then vehicles, again, just adding vehicles, very straightforward. Your vehicle make, model, and license plate. Alrighty, so we'll flip back over to the presentation. So tags and tracking. So again, there are two types of tagged inventory metric. There's plants and packages. Plants are immature, vegetative, or flowering. They get the tags at the vegetative stage, and then once they move to flowering, they will maintain that tag, and then it'll go into a harvest batch. And from the harvest batch, there'll be packages. Packages are created from immature plants, so you could see packages of immature plants, harvest batches, or other packages. Chain of custody here, you'll notice here the same ID goes with the plant through the stages, and then goes to harvest batch, and then once it becomes a package, even throughout the transfer to another facility, that same package ID remains with it. So again, no tagging once it gets to the next facility, unless there's a reason to. They don't have to do it just to add a tag. So these are the tags. What they look like. You're probably not going to do too much with the plant tags, but if you are a transport agent, maybe you are. Plant tags are 45 cents. Package tags are 25 cents. The plant tags are a little bit sturdier. They're also UV resistant, as well as water resistant. Really just designed to stand up to the arduous kind of conditions of growing plant. And then the package tag is two pieces. So there's a little tearable piece at the bottom there that contains the barcode and the and the unique identifier. Just a little bit of information on the tags itself. There's a facility name, there's a facility license number, and then that 24-digit alphanumeric code there. That's the identification number. That's the identification number for that package. That's actually also encoded. So there's a barcode there that has that number, and then in addition to that, the RFID chip within the tag that also will carry that information. So with the package tag, that tear away at the bottom, that does not have the RFID. So the important piece is that top part. That's what the OMMA investigators will be looking for to make sure that that's on there. Peel and stick adhesive backing on the package tags as well, so you can use it that way. We've also seen folks use if they have the little sleeves on the side of the bins, you know, the little like sleeves. You can put that on, and they can slide them in and out to make it so you don't have to take them off every time. That's also another easy way to do it. Tags are one-time use only, so once they're used, once that package is done, that tag is done as well. So package definition. So any amount of marijuana infused product that can be sold, transferred, or processed must be placed in containers having a unique tag created in Metrc. So if you're a transporter, you might see multiple boxes that are associated with one tag. It should be fine as long as they're all kept together. There are package limits that OMMA can speak to. But outside of that, if they're, like I said, if they're all together, generally speaking, that should be fine from OMMA. But if you have any questions on that piece, those would be OMMA questions. Any product intended for transfer must have a package tag as well. So you won't be able to create anything unless they're tagged in Metrc as a package. And then also too, you can always repack any package into new packages, which again, won't necessarily be too often for either the transporters or the waste disposal facilities. It's package tracking. So we'll kind of just go into this, and we're going to create some transfers here. So we'll get into this when we go into creating the transfers. Just a little bit of information about package tracking. But transfers we really want to talk about here. So you got to create that package anytime it moves from one licensed facility to another. The information, so you have to make sure you have that information entered on the manifest. So you'll see some examples here with the manifest. You have your originating facility, your address of the originating facility, and we'll show you this in the system so it's a little bit bigger. But a transfer can be rejected entirely, or one or more package from it can be rejected. So if you are a transporter, for instance, if there is a rejected package, there would be a return manifest generated. So there would need to be someone to bring that back. It would be assumed that you would be the person doing that. But if there is a case that's not the case, you can edit you can always edit the transfer manifest as well. All right, so the rejected package manifest will require the originating licensee shipper to receive the package back into custody, as mentioned. So rejecting transfers, this is how you would do it by package. So you can reject one or all of them. At the same time, you have to put a rejection reason and optional note. Same with receiving it. They'll have to go in, add the rejection reason, and add the note. All right, so now we're going to flip over to the demo. We're going to show you how we're going to create some transfers. And we're going to show you with a transfer hub, which is for transporter businesses. And then we'll also show you, and then we'll also create some waste packages and transfer those over to a waste disposal facility. Alrighty, so we're in the transporter. So let's go to a cultivation license that we got some waste disposal on there. I'll go to the grower here. So when they're creating a transfer, you're going to go to your active packages here. So let's send let's create a couple two package transfer for the first two, the immature plants and the flower, Oklahoma Thunder. We'll create a transfer here using a transporter license. So create a new transfer. So you're going to enter your information. So the destination will say